Welcome back to the program, otherwise known as NETMA. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. One final segment to go here in the program's return, and we've got a lot still to cover. So, this first segment, it's called 5x5, which means I've got 5 teams I want to talk about in 5 minutes. At some point, you know how I said I'd probably have something for this? I want a timer, I want a clock right here that just has 5 minutes on it with a little card flipping up. Didn't have time to get that stuff in, but I digress. That's the plan for hopefully next show or further down the line. And you can help me out with that. If you want to help, go ahead and pop into the NETMA Discord server, link to which is down below. You can go ahead and post some show questions in there. You can go ahead and just talk with us, see what else is going on in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get 5x5 started. This for the first time around, is my draft winners and losers. There was a question up there. I left it off for just this purpose instead. So already ticking under the clock. So let's go. First winner in my opinion, in the draft is Alamo City. With 34 players on the roster, they have really set themselves up for success. They've got some depth in case someone goes down. I think they did really well in terms of drafting. I think they really, really, really did well in terms of drafting. Let's get that stopped. I get to do a lot of things. I'm the producer, host, and host of the show, so I got to do everything here. Anywho, back to Alamo City. Draft, of course, grabbing a whole bunch of players. If I do my math right, they only drafted 5 players. But the players that they got to boost them from just 29 players up to 34 is what makes him pretty good. Rainstorm, a fullback, needed a fullback, thick and juicy. Is he still over there in Alamo City? I gotta remember. No, he's not over there. Thick and juicy is no longer there. See what happens. See what happens when when you try and do everything and try and talk about stuff. Anywho, look, they got 5 wide receivers, and you're going to see a lot more of that here in the SFL, is 5 contracted wide receivers. Now, you got Rainstorm, and Thick and Juicy did move up to halfback. Thank you, Albert Begin. He now is playing second fiddle to Brad Jones, but it expands that team's running game, in which this new era is going to be heavily dominated by the run, in my opinion. You're going to see a lot more runs, and so that's why you see them having 3 backs. That's why they were able to go ahead and take care of business. They took care of business as well in helping protect not only their quarterback, but their halfback this offseason and get 5 offensive linemen. I think Alamo City have done a really good job in terms of that regard. Theodore Rocker coming in as well for him. Willie Bands and Cody Lawrence helping solidify the defensive backfield also. All right, first loser of the draft, and that has to be, in my personal opinion, Tulsa. Tulsa has to be my first loser, and here's why. You take a look at what they did in general. They only had 1 draft pick, Tulsa, and that was in the 2nd round. You're thinking to yourself, no, wait a second, they had 2 picks, didn't they? Well, they drafted Marquis Sango, which, in all respective purposes, is a decent tight end, helps fill out that roster for Tulsa. But it's more or less what they did after Sango came in. And Sango isn't even signed for Tulsa at this point. He has still yet to sign his contract and be the 3rd string tight end, in which they could potentially have needed they could have picked another wide receiver. Maybe Himothy Mossam King would have been a great partner for Gabriel Manning. 2 really talented wide receivers. That would have been something to a talented rookie wide receiver coming in and pairing up with Manning would have been awesome to see. But you look at the end of the draft, second to last pick. I mentioned Himothy Mossam King. They trade that away instead of picking the guy that got picked in that spot. And we're going to talk about that team actually right now. Another winner, Vancouver. Everything was falling into place. Had in my personal opinion, the best draft, and everything fell to them. They got Austin Blanco at the end after Mike Daggs was really chiding him in the draft chat all night long. They get their wide receivers Zora Luna to fall to him. They get J.J. Winfield to fall him, another really strong defensive back. But it kept happening. Logan Lee fell all the way down to them at 50. Now, someone is saying Sango signed for Tulsa, right? Marquise Sango? Oh, he did sign. Okay. There he is. Okay, so he's going to be the number 1 tight end. So that's a better job by Tulsa, but still all right. Anywho, Vancouver, number 1 in that regard. I'm already taking too long. You see, I got to have a clock. I got to have a different clock for this. Otherwise, we got to go on to draft grades. But other winners in the draft, Louisiana, the smash and grab of the 2 running backs. And of course, as far as losing goes, we'll talk about it here as I bring up my full draft grades. Quick note on these grades. There's no rank next to them because there's a grade next to them. So even though teams may have certain grades or they're put in a certain order in a certain grade category, I just put them there for there. There's no really good ranking for it. But here's why Sioux Falls is my loser of the draft. You look at how they drafted. They needed a linebacker. They needed 2 linebackers, actually, at one point. Their first pick is a punter. When you had just seen Luis Quintana come off the board, DJ Kilgannon come off the board, there was only 1 true middle linebacker in the draft. Or 2 true middle linebackers in the draft, one of which had just gotten into the league literally days ago. They drafted a punter and a tight end, which they saw as their needs. But in terms of how they drafted, it looks like they had drafted the same way you would typically draft in seasons past. So Sioux Falls might lose the draft. There's the full picture for you, that side. This will be posted in the NETMA Discord server after the fact in the Power Rankings channel for you guys to go ahead and check out, maybe share amongst the league. But that is the Power Rankings, or I call it Power Rankings because that's how it's labeled here in OBS, but that is my draft grades for season 21. All right, we got about 6 minutes for a lightning round, and so I can go ahead and answer questions both here in Discord, here on YouTube, or we can just talk about whatever we want to talk about for the last 6 minutes of the show starting right now. So I'm being pinged by a certain Canadian, just trying to get he's trying to get my attention. He tries to get my attention during broadcasts, and he tries to get my attention during everything. But let's see. He says, if I can get the contract in before you're done with the show, I would suggest talking about Logan Lee's value. And apparently it is in. Vancouver's contract for Logan Lee is in. Oh my Lanta. We looked at... No way. Dwayne Salmons is no longer the most paid player in the SFL. It is Logan Lee. $4.694 million. Logan Lee is going to shred. But you look at... Now here's the biggest question for all of you guys. Is Logan Lee going to be the starter, or is it still going to be the natural? Is it going to be the newly minted Hall of Famer? That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Holy cats. Wow. All right. So Logan Lee, everybody. We got ourselves an MVP frontrunner. I mean, look at all the halfbacks just getting paid here in the SFL now. You've got Logan Lee, Dwayne Salmons, Chris Grant Jr. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players. The top 11 paid players are all running backs, guys. It's insane. If no one thought that this new era of the SFL was going to be heavily predicated on the run game, well, we were just proven wrong, I think. Watch out for the run. It's going to be real tough to stop these backs if you don't have a game plan for them. So that's insane. All right, a couple of more picks, or a couple more questions that I've been seeing here. So Eddie Gage, who wins each division in my opinion? I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think Indianapolis wins the Central Division this season. I think as far as the North Division, I think Queen City takes it an upset at the moment, just based on the last couple of things. We still have plenty of stuff to talk about and everything, and I'll come out with my official predictions later, but just knee-jerk picks at the moment. I've got Vancouver, of course, winning the Pacific. I think Baltimore wins the East. I think Alamo City wins the Tex-Mex division. Florida wins the East. And Zona wins the West. That's my gut picks at the moment. I'll have, again, my picks mean absolutely nothing because I can always be wrong, and of course we love to make I can always make 2 and 10 predictions here and there. Let's see, did I miss any other questions? Alex Marshall over in Queen City. Is this quarterback 2 thing going to last, or will it be a phase that goes away after one too many QB2s get eventually shafted? And now, I really think it won't be that way. I don't think this is going to be a phase. This QB2 era will stick around. It's going to last. It's going to last the entire time of this new era of the SFL, however long that might be, and further. Because I think teams will come up with inventive and creative ways to utilize both quarterbacks in their system. I think there's going to be a much better rotation of these quarterbacks. I personally think Ibrahim Creata will be out of a job by half the length of the season. I personally believe that. I want to take a look at Motor City's not Las Vegas, Motor City's contract situation for their quarterbacks, and I don't know whether or not it was just to spite me or what have you, but Michael Brown was given a much less contract than he deserves, in my opinion. He was purposely given a contract lower than Creata. Now, I said it when they brought in Creata from the get-go. Creata is not the solution for Motor City long term. Now you draft a championship winning quarterback, and in terms of Alex Marshall, yes, he gets shafted. Michael Brown has already gotten shafted. Now, I think Motor City, and it shows that I think Motor City had a great draft, but I think the way they're handling the quarterback situation is absolutely abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. Final question, real quick. Do you think injuries should be real? I think within the next 2 seasons, we will see injuries return. I think injuries will return to the SFL in due course. So that is going to do it. We have hit 59 minutes, which means it's time now for me to encompass this whole thing. If you watched this entire live show, thank you for sticking with this entire hour-long show. If you're watching back on playback here on the 4th part of the show, which, of course, like I said earlier, all these segments, all these little breaks are breaking up the show for me so that I can push out these shows to you guys in 15-minute intervals for you guys to watch back at your own time. So that is going to do it here on the first edition back for NETMA. Thank you to everybody in chat, just everyone I can see right now. Bo Martin Jr., Adam Wiseman, Jay Ballmer, Hunter Norwood, Guy Clausen, Eddie Gage, and so many others have joined me. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. New time, new date. We'll get to that in the NETMA server Discord. Wait until then. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.